We now look at the Constitution as a sacred document, something like the Bible, and we're right. But when it was proposed and when it was adopted, it was an object of fierce controversy and only narrowly passed, acquiring the states necessary to put it into effect. The Continental Congress had said that if 9 states out of the 13 adopted the Constitution, it would take effect. And almost immediately 4 or 5 states, largely in New England, did ratify it, and shortly thereafter another 4 joined it, making the 9 that were necessary. But the 2 biggest states, New York and Virginia, had not yet acted. They were waiting to see how the others would go. And until they ratified, while legally it could take effect, you couldn't really have a nation without New York and Virginia. They were so big and right in the middle of the country. In both New York and Virginia, it was a very tough task to get the Constitution approved. In Virginia, which went first, there was strong opposition led by Patrick Henry. In my video a few weeks ago, I talk about Patrick Henry and really say that he was the guy most responsible for forcing James Madison to write the Bill of Rights and to incorporate it into the Constitution. And it was because of his objections to the possibility of government tyranny that the compromise was reached, that the Constitution would be ratified, but that the Bill of Rights would be incorporated into it. But after Virginia ratified the Constitution, New York still loomed without having approved it. And the opposition in New York was much more formidable than in Virginia, because it was led by Governor George Clinton, no relation. And Governor Clinton was the leader of a populist wing, or populist party, in New York. By the way, his nephew, DeWitt Clinton, built the Erie Canal and went on to great fame. George Clinton was a crusty, populist veteran of the American Revolution and saw the world in terms of a menacing, authoritarian government and a people trying to be free from it. And he was strongly opposed to the Constitution because he saw it eroding the rights of states and ultimately the rights of the people. And he was suspicious of it. He was suspicious of the motivation for it and was deeply opposed to its adoption. Now, George Clinton, first interesting to note, became vice president under the new Constitution after it was adopted, after Jefferson got rid of Aaron Burr in his first term as vice president. As president. In his second term, he ran with George Clinton, who was elected VP. But back then, when the Constitution was pending, Clinton was a strong and determined opponent. And it was only through the aggressive efforts, largely of Alexander Hamilton, who wrote the Federalist Papers, really aimed at the New York Constitutional Convention, to persuade them to ratify. Ultimately, it was ratified, and the populist opposition to the Constitution that basically contended that it reversed the Declaration of Independence faded into history. It was the burden of Clinton's view that the Declaration of Independence established the right of people to overthrow their government, the right of people to seek a new governing structure, and that the Constitution was coming in with all sorts of legal constraints that hemmed in the people and stopped them from being able to do that. An interesting footnote to history. Thanks for watching.